great week. Let me hear it or see it. Mark, you're nodding your head. Is that a yes or no? Or you just enjoyed the cookie? Okay, that's what I thought. A second guess there. Okay, how about just a good week? Let's just say good. All right. And then the meh week. There. And not so good week. Everybody there. All right. So we all come together with these various things on our mind, looking ahead, looking behind, and this is where it brings us. Had the toughest week of my life at school this week. Toughest week. If you didn't hear, Tuesday night, I got a call from my principal about 9 o'clock, and he said we had another incident. We need to meet everybody Wednesday morning before school. And then they told us another young man had passed away. He committed suicide. And Wednesday, well, that was Wednesday morning. And the saddest day, hands down, I've ever experienced as an educator. Not only because of this young man, but 3 weeks earlier, we had another young man commit suicide. So that's two in a matter of 3 weeks in our school. A sophomore boy and a junior boy. A little bit earlier this summer, there's a young man from Farrows, too, who just graduated not too recently, and also committed suicide. Monday, when we drove by Farrows Park there by the fire station, they were having a big basketball tournament. That was pretty cool. I've been watching that since several of his friends put that together kind of at the last minute. The place was just packed. So the outpouring of support from the communities has absolutely been tremendous, but it doesn't make it a whole lot easier as you sit there with these kids. Some of my kids do them really well. Some had spoken to them that day, Tuesday. It's all my school Tuesday, and Wednesday is not, around anymore. So we sit there with these kids, and we get the chance to talk with them. And this is the thing where I say, God's in the schools, whether people like it or not. He's in the school through adults, through students. He's doing his work in the schools. And so that was kind of my week. And I guess I was really challenged spiritually to do something about it. We've got to do something. What can we do? And if this is what's going on, we have to have a response. And so as we get through today's message, I hope that's just kind of your challenge of loving God and loving people. What does that mean to you? How are you working on that idea of love God and love people as we go through some of these things? And I share some different things with you. But I don't know, to me, I took it as I've got to step up my game a little bit. I've got to make sure these kids know they're loved. I've got to make sure these kids know there's hope. And I say kids, but it's really anybody, isn't it? But you all know people at work, that you work with, adults, kids, youth, anyone. You know that there's people looking for hope. There's people struggling. There's people at the end of the road. And they're looking for a kind word. They're looking for a reason to be alive tomorrow. Right? And that's where it kind of brings us this evening. But I can say even after talking about that this morning, God's working like you wouldn't believe it. And it's hard to look at a suicide and think that God is going to use that for something. But He is. And as I get to that, you'll see He is using it for something good. All right, so let's start here in the book of Mark, chapter 12. So here's a passage, you've probably heard it several times before. If not, you got your app or your Bible with you, go for it. Mark 12, verse 28. If not, I've got it up on the screen here. And as I read through this, I kind of wanted to, how do we make it stick? You know what I mean? How can we just put it in a format that says, I'm always going to remember this without having to remember all of this. So let's read through here. So one of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, of all the commandments, which is the most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. That's every bit of this, isn't it? every hair, every toe, everything. Isn't it? That He encompassed everything. Everything about you, love God. Make sure you do it. And then he went on, the second thing was to love your neighbor as yourself. There's no greater commandment than these. Well said, teacher. The man replied, you are right in saying that God is one and there is no other but Him. To love Him with all your heart, with all your understanding, and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. When Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, you are not far from the kingdom of God. So, that reminds us right there, when we love God and love people, we're experiencing the kingdom of God right here on earth. And I don't know if you've noticed, watching the headlines, watching the world needs Jesus. Can I get an amen? Right? The world needs hope. Can I get another amen? The world needs people who love them. Can I get $10? I tried. Didn't happen on the morning service either. I tried. But right, people? We've got a great thing here. People love and care about us. That doesn't mean we don't go through tough times, because we do. But we know that God loves us, and that people love us, and that we can do that too. But not everyone knows that. There are people who do not feel loved. Plain and simple. We've been commanded to say, go love your neighbor as yourself. And a lot of times we think of, the teens deal with this, the youth deal with this. Right now, I read an article in the paper said that between 12 and 18 is the highest. Suicide is the number one killer for 12 to 18-year-olds. Right? There are people who do not feel loved. That's where we come in. That's where we help God out. At school, take a look around. Is there somebody sitting by themselves every day? Is that somebody you can invite over and say, hey, would you like to sit with us? Whether you know them or not, you know what? That's what God says, your neighbor. Doesn't say people like you. Doesn't say people who look like you. Doesn't say people from your same school. No, it just says your neighbor. It says this is it. We have to love people. And I kind of think that sometimes people who don't feel loved probably don't pass love on to others. So they're going to come off a little bit rough, a little bit standoffish. This is a new thing for me, to be loved. But we get to do that. When we love God, now we know we love others too. And we have something that nobody can take away from us, which is God's love. God is bigger than all of these problems. God is the answer to all of these problems. Right? Yeah. So we have the opportunity to make some major change in our families, in our friends, around our communities, around our workplaces, because you know what? God doesn't get defeated. Sometimes we feel defeated, but God doesn't feel defeated. Sometimes we pray, we feel like we don't get the answer, but in the end, it somehow turns out right. You know who did that? That was God that did that. And we stop and we turn around and we look at it like, why did I doubt? Why did I do that? Every time God comes through. So I think we're starting week 3 of school. I'm not even sure. Mine's a little fuzzy. Does that sound right? 4, okay, right? 4. I missed the week in there somehow. It happens. But people a lot of times, how's school going? School going well? My typical response, oh yeah, we're off to a great start. Somebody asked me that this week and I could not answer that. I said, no, this has been difficult. Emotionally, mentally, physically, it was the longest week, and it was a 4-day week. Man, was I messed up. Tuesday I thought was Monday. We got to Thursday, I was like, thank God it's Friday. They're like, no, you have to come back for a whole nother day. It was that type of week. And you can feel this heaviness. You can feel the sadness. I don't know if you've ever felt it, but it was there. It was the sadness in there when the school was there. Now, one particular class I had, a lot of the kids knew this young man that passed away. And one had even talked to him the day before, talked about a life-changing experience to not see this friend the next day. So we got together and I could sense, we talked, it's like, you guys want to do something, we've got to get something, we have to do something to help people. They said, yeah, and I suggested a video that would be willing to help me with that, and we looked at the script I wrote up, and they liked it, and I said, now, if you don't agree with it, you don't want to do it, but if you agree with all of this, let's do it, and they jumped on it in a second. We played this video at Friday night's football game in between the first and second quarters. Everyone, to me, as I was watching from the press box, everyone in the whole stadium stopped what they were doing, and they watched it. So we're going to show it here in a second. We posted this video on the Facebook page of the high school. It's been seen over 38,000 times. And we posted this on Friday. It said the video has been new, but the post was over 90,000 times. There's people from Texas commenting, sorry for your loss. We want to be part of this. We want to support you. We need help in our area too. So we're getting t-shirts made, and honestly, they're going to go all over the nation. This, God is using this now to help others. That bad thing to make something good that God can do with it. So take a look at this video here. It's 47 seconds long. We put this together, and then this is what they're talking about.
Listen up, you need to talk.
If you're feeling
Depressed, anxious,
or angry,
talk with someone. Is someone that people could talk to?
stand up right now.
That's right, stand up. Show everyone that you are willing to listen.
Come on.
Stand up. We want you to know that there are people who care. Look around.
All these people standing care about you.
Use your words to lift others up. Be encouraging and speak life.
Just know that.
You are loved. And we care about you.
That was it. That's the video we showed. And people, when the first time they said stand up, people started popping up. And then before the next time they stand up, almost everyone's up, and everybody's clapping and supporting, and you could feel the love. It was just amazing that God is working in this way. This is loving God, loving people. This is what happens when we get to do that. But we can ask ourselves, how do we know how we're doing loving God and loving people? We gotta always reflect. How are we doing it? Are we being good people of God, right? So there's a lot of stuff in the Bible. God says, hey, can we do this and this? Part of loving God is obeying what God says to do, right? And then loving those people that other people are walking past, the people that they won't take time to help. How are we doing with that? How can we love people? And have you heard this phrase, junk in, junk out? Right? I'll tell you what, there's more junk out there than ever, friends. For not only young people, even us adults, right? Junk in, junk out. There's less people that believe in God in America now than ever. So do we think our job is easier or harder? It's easier, because there are so many people who don't know about God. So when we love God, when we love people, people see us and see that in you. Something's different. What's going on? How can you handle everything so well? That was a difficult time in life, but you were strong through it. You say, oh, God, help me through it. I know Jesus, I've got hope. And that's what people were looking for, right? That message of hope. And here's the other thing I'd like to look at. How about the fruits of the Spirit? Are they in you? Look at this list, this checklist here. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. How you doing on that list? You see, when you have God in you, that's what comes out of you, right? That's how your life is lived. And I love, let's see, the patience one. I have to put a little dash by that one, right? Self-control you have to look at. People that cut in front of you in line at the gas station. Take 20 items in the 10 item or less checkout. Is that by anybody else right there? Let's see, here's it is when we love God. The Bible tells us. When we love God. And then people start noticing this stuff. Wow, you're patient. Wow, you're kind. And then they start, that's neat. I love that. how do I get that, right? And then you tell them, it's because God loves me. I love God. God loves you. And you can have that. We love God. We love people. This world needs God now more than ever. So, I don't know, have you heard the phrase too, if you go stand in a garage, that doesn't make you a car. Same thing that if you go to church, doesn't make you a Christian necessarily. But see, when you focus on loving God, just as in any relationship, it takes work. Right, friends? If you say you love God, but then if you don't do anything about it, are you going to feel close to God? No, probably not. You're going to wonder, why is God doing this? Why is God treating me this way? But we haven't been putting into the relationship. So we got to love God. This world needs God now more than ever. And you see, this is about our foundation. In your family, this is about your foundation. There's so many things attacking the family foundation right now. You've got to be able to set your foundation in your priorities, and you plant your flag in the ground right there and say, this is it. This is what I believe in, and this is where I'm planting the flag. Unlike the Oklahoma Sooners, who tried to plant the flag in the artificial turf at Ohio Stadium. Did you see that at the game? They were out like, yay! It didn't do it. Sooners. But this is about our foundation, right? And it's a good checklist. You know how easy it is to get distracted. And our foundation will slowly crumble. And we're going to be seeing pictures of where it's all of Harvey all over the place, and now Hurricane Irma. We're going to see houses that are level. We're going to see houses, and it affects people when they see one house in the middle of a beach that's been wiped out and still standing. Right? And then we're going to be like, why is that house standing? Because of the foundation it was built on and how it's built. So this is about our foundation. So when it came to love people, love God, love people, it's part of what we do here. We wear it on our shirts. So this is what we get to do. And this is how we change the world. You look at that big verse and all that stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to condense it. So it's something that we just say easily all the time. Just like Nike, what is it? Just do it, right? New way, Nike, be like, love God, love people. We do those two things, we're going to see amazing transformations in our worlds, in our families, in our communities. God's going to be using you for incredible work. And keep in mind, God does the transformation of the heart, right? We can love, we can take care of people, we can talk with people, we can listen, but God is the one that's going to get into the heart and transform them. So that we remember. So let's look at Matthew 7 real quick as we talk about our foundation. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down and the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and yet it did not fall, because it has its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. There's our reminder that this is about our foundation. Our foundation is to love God, to love people. You're going to see how far that goes. I believe God's using us in a mighty way right now. It was a sad, sad week. And it was not just our community. People from around the community. And this is something where we're getting shirts made. And I'm thinking we're going to have to make thousands of shirts because people still want to continue to support. 4 other school districts have called us and said, we want to support you. We're having the same issues. A person from Massachusetts said, I need a shirt in my town. Another one from Texas, I need a shirt in my town. And so this is becoming bigger than we could have ever imagined. But we're going to be able to reach more people than we ever thought we could. Love God, love people. Keep in mind, friends, keep in mind we're talking about God. There ain't nothing that gets past God. Ain't nothing stronger than God. Ain't nothing more powerful than God. Love God, love people. It's what we do. It's how we change the world. Would you pray with me, please? Dear God, we just thank you. And thank you for taking care of us, Lord. Thank you for being there. Help us to love you when it's not easy. Help us to keep our hope in you. Help us to share that hope with those who are hurting, who are lost, and who are hopeless. God, we know they're out there. We know they're in our families. We know they're our friends. They're our neighbors. We know they're our classmates, our co-workers. And God, this week, you're going to use us in a great way where we can reach out through a conversation, through just listening, through a hug, through a handshake, that we can share your love. Lord, be with us as we begin this great work, as you work through us, as people sense something different going on in their lives, a different sort of peace, a different sort of love that they can't put their finger on, but their lives are dramatically changed, God. That's what we're praying for. Word of tonight's tonight. To say, I'm sorry for the way I've acted. I'm tired of living the crappy life. I'm tired of it. It's time for something new. I want you in my life. Right now's the time to do it. Jesus, forgive me for coming to my heart. Make me new. Restore me. Clean my heart. I give it all to you. Lord, be with us all. Teach us, lead us, guide us in your will, so that we can be out there sharing your love, growing closer to you. In the name of Jesus, we always do pray. Amen. Amen.